Okay, let's go right there, click this button, and then I'm done. And then finally we can begin. Put that there, put you guys over here. Make it tiny like that. Alright, and then click this. Put this in the smaller. All my screens with all my faces all over everything. Have to look at myself talking. Okay, I think I did it. I think everybody's organized. I think life makes sense. So, hello. Yeah, everything's recording. Everything's doing its thing. Okay, ta-da. So we are doing the Oakbridge Q and A, as we do at this time every week. And yeah, let's do it. So hello, everybody who's getting on. Happy to have you here. Hello to Margot and Lisa for being here live. We always love that. And yeah, let's jump into it. So I always give preference to the people who are here live in the Zoom room. So if you have questions, we'll start off with you guys, and then anyone else that has questions, you can always add them along the way. So let's start with Margot or Lisa. Howdy.
Hi. So, Michael, I have been thinking a lot this week about how many mediums are taught as a part of the evidence that they are seeking to get from spirit how spirit died.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering why that is, because it seems particularly disturbing to me and upsetting to actually have to relive those moments. Sure. Yet it's definitely a common thing that mediums seek this information. And I was watching a demo this week with an instructor and a student, and the instructor was, really talking in great detail about this woman's mother who had cancer, and she was describing how the chemo felt in the mother's veins and bringing this woman to tears. And, again and again and again, I have mediums and practices say, I sought how your loved one died, or I'm asking this, and I'll say, please don't. I really don't want to go through that. But I just wondered what your opinion is on it.
Yeah. So the reason that seems like an important detail is that it just provides evidence that it's actually them, right? And so for some people, that is helpful information, especially because around people's passing, there's often a lot of questions that are left unanswered. There's often a lot of struggle and things with that. However, and therefore talking about the passing and around the passing and things like that can be helpful to some people. However, never should we be going into great detail about those kinds of things. We don't want to re-traumatize people or try to, what I'm hearing when you give me the example that you gave, where they're talking about how the chemo felt in their veins and all of that sort of thing, I'm like, that's too much. Like, that's literally just what I call masturbatory mediumship, because you're just doing that for your own pleasure and to kind of show off. You don't need to give that kind of detail. The person was there. They lived that life. Like, you don't have to go into these sort of extreme details, right? Even when people, let's say, passed by their own hand, I won't go into the details of how that occurred generally. And especially wouldn't talk about the experience of what that person felt. In those instances, in those examples, you're providing information that doesn't do anything for the person, while simultaneously providing new information that may or may not cause stress for that person. So that's not really that important. Saying someone passed of a heart attack, that's evidence. Saying they grabbed their chest in pain and they were wrenching and they felt this heavy pressure all on their jaw and going into all that stuff, that's completely unnecessary. We all know the symptoms of chemo. We all know the symptoms of, heart attack. We all know the symptoms of these other things. So it doesn't make sense to go into great detail around the passing condition. So I think in that example, it's people kind of doing it for their own, feeling like they're getting something. And in reality, they're probably not getting it from spirit. They're probably just going, I know what this feels like, and I'm going to talk about it because I don't have anything else right now. And this makes me feel like I'm being specific. And the reality is specificity isn't that important if what you're being specific about is irrelevant, right? Not useful in any way. This is the same thing when people are like, yes, and in their house, they had the little doilies and they were white and they had these little things around them. And then she would place pictures on top of the doilies and da-da-da. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, why are you going into that? Like, nobody gives a shit about that, right? And so, same thing, I will see mediums. This is, honestly, I have to be real, this is kind of a UK medium problem because they're so trained on trying to be specific, that they talk about really stupid things like the buttons on someone's jacket. And I'm like, nobody gives a shit about buttons on jacket unless that jacket is like passed down through generations and has some sort of value and is a really important thing. Ain't nobody caring about that. Just saying, what people want to know is evidence that tells me this is my loved one, followed by messages that are relevant to me in my life and that are connected to what this other spirit person is still aware of, to show that they still continue on. That's actually what is needed, right? And so that's kind of my spiel, my little soapbox that I'm getting on right now about that, because that kind of thing annoys me. It really, really annoys me because per your point that you were making, it can create more discomfort. Is it beneficial to be able to say this person passed in this way? I think it is a useful piece of information. But in all my readings, do I give the passing condition? No, because if it doesn't come on its own, I don't need to go find it. What I'm talking about, usually if the passing condition is coming up, it's because it's relevant to what's going on. So it's when people try to create in their mind that they have to get XYZ every single reading. Maybe for a training exercise, that's okay, but it's not something that you have to get in every reading. You can describe to someone so much detail that you leave out the passing condition and it still is that person, right? Regardless. So I'm not downplaying the value of passing condition. I do think it has its place. However, it's not required, and neither is any piece of information is required in a reading. As long as everything else is there, you can eliminate any number of things. So that's a long answer, but please, love to hear if you have any follow-ups to that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions, other thoughts, other things? Yeah, Lily.
Hello.
Hi.
So I've been doing sitting in the power every day. And for the most part, the attunement part has been pretty consistent. But then I realized when we expand our energy, it wasn't as wide as I think it should have been, especially as you talked more about it and in your examples of when, especially this past Saturday, when you were like, it's out here, the awareness is out here. On a couple of occasions, I felt that, like the puffed up sense, but it's not consistent. And I'm wondering why that is, or how, and I don't know that I've done anything different, like consciously. I know you said that it's, by default, our energy will expand, and it's worked on like a couple instances and I felt that going wide, but then sometimes it's like, it still feels like right above skin level.
Perfect. I'm making a note because I want to come back to this question in 1 second, because
Okay.
there's someone else asked this question and it's related to what I was just talking about. If the spirit shows the buttons, though, why wouldn't they talk about it? So I'm not referring to spirit naturally bringing buttons on their own. That is something that you would naturally just do because they're showing it. What I'm referring to is those who have been trained to look for specificity like that for specificity's sake. So if you work with enough people and enough mediums, you're going to realize that some people are taught to look for small details like that to be specific. Like that's the whole point of it, is to be specific. They're taught to go into whatever image they see and describe every little detail of all the things. So when there's music on a piano, they're going to say, what's the piano? What's the music? What's the da-da-da? What's the da-da? As a training thing, sure, you're teaching people to pay attention to what's important. But what actually you should be doing is noticing, what does the spirit bring that's important? What do they want to bring that's important? And if they're naturally on their own bringing buttons, that thing will be relevant to what's going on. However, if you're taught you're supposed to make sure you give every little detail of every little thing, that I think is actually a not good thing. But if the spirit brings it on its own, you're going to find that it's consistently relevant. But if you are giving those pieces of information and you end up getting a response from the person like, I don't know, I don't remember, I'm not sure, I guess, anything like that, you may know that you're probably going into unnecessary detail. So if the spirit brings it on its own, yes, definitely give it, because it's probably going to be right. If it's not, I wouldn't even bother going into those things. So I just want to clarify that just a little bit. Back to your question, Lily. Why is the opening and the expansion not consistent? And it would be because the difference in how you're letting go. So two things are likely that's happening is in those instances where it happened on its own, you probably were kind of a little bit more indifferent about the outcome. You're probably a little bit more relaxed. You're probably a little bit more surrendered. You probably weren't searching for anything. And that's why it probably unfolded that way. If there's any part of us going, is it happening now? Is it doing the thing? Am I feeling the way that it felt before? Like analyzing that, it's going to slow down that connection. It's not going to allow it to expand. So I want to invite you, Lily, to kind of pay attention to how much interest in the outcome do I have? And the more that you can just give it, I don't give a shit sort of attitude, the more likely you're going to find consistency start to come with that.
Okay. Yeah. There's definitely been instances where I've caught myself like, oh, you're comparing. But like completely unconsciously. And then I'll forget, but then I think it creeps back in. But okay.
Yeah.
It's
likely what is going on. Because as soon as we start to try to move something forward, do something like that, that's when we start to have that happen. So, yeah.
Okay.
Good question.
Thank you.
Sorry, my cat wants to get in. Let him in. Because I'm a slave to my kitty. Come here, my child. Come on, little boo. Hi. Oh, you're going to actually just make sounds because you want food. Yes, I know. I know. It's not time for lunchies. Ugh. Okay. Here we go. So next question. Who is the next question? Lisa, do you have anything to throw in there?
Nope, not too much so far. Just learning, sitting in the power. Sometimes it feels like it goes really well, and then sometimes it feels not so much. I think it's more of what you were just saying, and that not comparing and yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's
I think it's just a constant, and I know it's still early in my learning and consistent development and that. So not trying to put it, but I have confronted, I felt a lot in the last little week. I think this is my block to confront, is my self-talk and comparison of myself and self-doubt. I feel a lot of that bumping against that wall. So,
which, like, fair enough. That's a very reasonable thing to feel, given you're learning a new skill and pretty miraculous skill at that. So I don't
Yes.
think that that's really a negative, especially in the beginning. I think it's a very normal thing to experience, that feeling of like, can I even do this? Is this even real? Blah, blah.
Mhm.
I think all those questions are welcome. And honestly, I always think questioning things is a positive. That's what got me to where I am. I never just accepted things for what they are, and that causes me to go deeper into things, question things, discover what works consistently. So I welcome the doubt. I welcome those things because it needs evidence to be able to see that it's true, that you can do this. But what I would offer to the doubtful little part of us is I would offer to have patience because you just need more data, right? So we can't make a conclusion. So we may doubt ourselves, and that's okay, but we can't decide that that's true because we need more data to be able to tell if that is true, right? And what I find is that over time, as you get more of that data, you're going to find that you can do this and that it is possible for you and that you will be able to make it happen.
Yeah. It's funny because sometimes it's so like, I know there's something that I know it like as much as I know what color my shirt is. And then there's other times when I'm like, is this just it's so, but I know it's completely consistently sit in the power every day and no expectations, see where it goes.
That's exactly right. And I think too, that's part of the learning, right? If it was just going to work perfectly every single time, you wouldn't be in developing it. You'd be developed. You'd arrive, right?
Very
so
true.
You're part of the learning, and it's going to be times where it works really well. There's going to be other times where it doesn't feel like it works as well. So awesome. Thanks, Lisa. Hey, Andrea.
Thanks.
Välkommen. I don't know how to say welcome in Portuguese, unfortunately. You probably do. What is it?
Bem-vindo.
Benvenu. Okay, that makes sense.
Bem-vindo. Yeah, like the common.
Yeah.
Of everybody's out.
Yeah,
Hi.
I love that. Awesome. Let me just check these questions here. I'm on TikTok because ticked up in bed, but I'm also struggling a bit with the contrast between going up to the higher awareness and then down and out to relax and let go. If you find that you're struggling with that sort of going up, just go up first, and then just while you're moving your awareness upwards, what I'm referring to is that soft focus letting go. So soft focus is a feeling, right? It's a feeling of us letting go. So I want you to think of it as I let my awareness rise up into this higher state, right? My attention is maybe upwards. I'm feeling the release in my chest, right? That sort of feeling. And then I allow my awareness to rise, and then letting go. Allow my awareness to rise, and then letting go, right? That's how you kind of marry those two pieces together. How long did it take you until you finally hear spirit and really build a bond with speaking with it? How long did it take me? I couldn't answer that, honestly. I don't know, because from the very beginning, I heard things, but they're not consistent. It's not like it's every single time I do a reading, I hear things. Sometimes I feel things. Sometimes I see things. Sometimes all of them all at once. And so I can't say that there's an arrival. There's no arrival. It's each instance is its own experience, and it unfolds in the way that it unfolds. And that's really, really important to get us to understand. There's no like, I'm here now and therefore it works. It's today, this is how it's working. This is how it's behaving. Today, I'm aware of X, Y, Z. And if you can keep it to those isolated instances instead of trying to go, this is just a true fact about me now, and I'm always going to experience this, you're going to save yourself a lot of comparison, self-judgment, deciding things are good or bad, right? So try to just keep it in, this is what I'm experiencing today. Is sitting in the power necessary for connecting with your guides? I think it is necessary for increasing your sensitivity, increasing how to teach your brain to be non-reactive. I think it's necessary to teach your brain how to remain in a passive receptive state despite things changing and interesting things coming to you. You're able to stay in that very passive state. I believe that it's really helpful in building your own power and energy to maintain your awareness and connection to the spirit world. And I believe that it's necessary for giving the spirit world time to develop you. So for those reasons, it is necessary. And it will help you to, a byproduct of that necessity will help you to deepen your connection with your guides, at least till you have conscious aware of them. Your connection is there whether you're aware of it or not, but your own awareness of that connection will be empowered by all the things that sitting in the power helps you do. So that's important. Other questions from my group in the room? Andrea?
I do have a question. So I was thinking about this yesterday, and I wanted you to explain this to me.
Sure.
Can you give me an example using the ocean and swimming of like when you're in a reading? Because the other day when we were in class and Megan said ride the feeling of love, and we were kind of like talking about it, and I was thinking about it, but I was like, if I was in the ocean and this was me doing the reading, is riding the power of love going deeper into the ocean, or is it like relaxing and just kind of like floating and doing nothing?
I would say it's probably the latter, more so, relaxing, floating, doing nothing. But I want you to think of it in terms of a current.
Okay.
That's better, because I think thinking of it like a current and the flow of information and how the energy moves, because I think we all have felt at some point that sort of feeling, right? Like almost like you're in water and there's like water moving around you, that sort of thing. The same thing with the feeling of love or the feeling of the power. When I think also too, emotions in general are really well done. Well, it's a good analogy to use current, water, that sort of thing, because the water rises and then it subsides, right? So when I think in her example, when she's saying follow the current of love, it's like when I can feel that, I don't resist it, I don't interpret it, I don't try to control it, I don't try to do anything with it. I actually just let it move me where it takes me, and I'm curious as to where that's going to go, right? I'm open to whatever is coming for me, towards me, etc. So it's actually about letting myself be taken by the current wherever it's going to go. Does that help?
It does. Okay. So to piggyback off that then, in the chat somewhere they were kind of talking about the same thing inside of the readings, like when we were practicing. And Ashley was saying that instead of when you guys are saying like, let it go, let it go, let it go. If this was a painting, is this letting it go is ripping off the entire painting that you just started and just starting over from scratch? Or is it like erasing what's already on the easel? Or like, could you give it in a painting example now?
Yeah. Letting it go means you're taking a painting, you're throwing it out the window. And then you're letting a new painting be there. Right?
A completely new painting.
A completely new thing. Yeah. Because the process of letting go is the thing that most people struggle with the most. And the reason that they struggle with it the most is because they're afraid there's not going to be something else there when they let it go. And so they hang on to it unbeknownst to themselves. So they don't even realize that they're holding on. And so it's better for us to lean into you totally ditching the thing you just got so that they're open to something new, versus what tends to happen is people have something there and they go, I'm going to let go of this painting now. And then they're like, okay, but something should be there. I don't feel another painting there, so I can't let that go yet, right? So it's better for them to just go and throw that thing away and then be like, okay, because imagine what that does to you, right? So if you're here and you're going, I'm going to let this go, but I'm not ready to let it go until I get this thing, you're literally stuck in this sort of scanny sort of place. Versus if you go and throw that painting away, now you're just sitting there and you're like, well, I got to be open now because nothing's here. So I got to be open. So you're reinforcing openness rather than reinforcing, right, that in-between sort of scanny, sort of searchy place. Does that make sense? So it's better to throw away the painting altogether and then be surprised if the next painting is related to the painting you just threw out the window. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. Thank you.
You're welcome. First time I ever described mediumship with paintings and throwing paintings around, but there's different strokes for different folks. Do you have a YouTube video of sitting in the power meditation? I do not, but I do have it on my website for sale. And if you're in any of our courses, we tend to just send you the recordings anyway. But yeah, other questions, other thoughts? I mean, I can always do a song and dance. So, yeah, Andrea.
I do have a list, but that was in my mind because I was thinking about it. But another thing on my list of questions to ask is, so when a spirit when they were incarnate, if they weren't like fun or happy or loving and all these things, and they come up into the reading, are they still considered divine love?
Great question. I think we need to maybe differentiate behavior of the character versus the actor themselves. So when I talk about that, think of a movie, right, where you see a character playing like an actor playing a character. Their core self, their true self, isn't that actor or that character that they're playing. Excuse me, they're not that character. So let's take Tom Hiddleston, for example, just because that's the first one that comes to my mind. He's a good-looking man. That's just my opinion, just throwing it in there. As he is playing Loki, right? Like he's doing some evil things. He's being an asshole. He's being a tricky little guy. But when he leaves that character, is that Tom Hiddleston? No, he's smiley. He's sweet. He dances really well. He's a lovely man, as far as I know. I don't know. He could be an asshole. But we can think of that similarly to the lives that we live here, because we can almost think of like the core self, your true self, your soul self, and then you can think of how life experience shapes you, right? And like makes you into something. That is that sort of mask that we are wearing. But I believe that everybody's true self, their core self, if we could remove all the trauma and the bullshit and all the things, we'd get back to that same sort of loving thing. So even here now, I believe that within each person is the seeds of that divine love and the seeds of that thing, and that life and trauma and all those sorts of things create this thing that changes the character. It's a role that they're playing. And then when they die, all of those needs for survival, all of those needs to feel part of a community, feel lost, like all of the things that we deal with that creates these different expressions, they're no longer needed, and you're left with this space, because we know that the spirit world is this unending love. We hear that from people who have near-death experiences all the time, right? They say, I have felt a love that there is no words for. It's limiting to try to put it into words, the amount of safety, love, connection, compassion, all the things that non-judgment that I experience in that state. So we know that that is the state that they return to and then I always go, it's like, two things. One, what changes people? Dramatic experiences change people, right? Traumatic and dramatic experiences change people. And so do being met with love. Those I think is like being met with love and compassion regardless, and being accepted fully as yourself. That's what I think healing happens. But the other thing that changes is traumatic experiences. And so what is more traumatic than freaking dying and realizing that you're still continuing on? And then on top of that, you have to do a life review where you see the ways and feel the ways in which you impacted every single person you've ever interacted with. That is also a transformative experience. So both of those experiences together, being met with love, reliving all the ways in which you've impacted other people, it teaches you and helps you understand your soul. And then when you remove all that other extra stuff that's no longer needed, this is a whole transformational process. So even if someone was a jerk and an asshole in life, I believe not that they become these perfect people. I think there's still growth and learning to still happen on the other side, but that they can come forward with a different perspective that they didn't have before. They can come forward to take responsibility because now they have understanding. They can come forward to try to bring forward something good in the places where they've done harm, right? So I do think that there is qualities there, but the character that they played is, still there, but also maybe the rougher edges have been faded away or learned through or changed in some way. Does that help, Andrea?
Yeah, it does. I was just thinking about it as we do more readings with each other and like people come. I'm like, this is divine love, yeah, but it's like you said it, like more like a mask, like because they still have their personality.
Yeah, the character. And the thing is, you're multiples. You are multiple, right? Even if we want to think about ourselves, even embodied, we are multiple. So like, there's parts of us, right? We have parts of our awareness, parts of our consciousness. What my core self might think about a situation may be very different from my protective side of myself that comes forward and wants to judge or be critical or whatever, right? So there are these different sort of parts that occasionally get in the driver's seat at different times. And so, that's why you can hear, that's why I always say people are multifaceted. When you do enough readings, you really start to realize, wow, people are many shades of colors. It's very rare that you have someone that's just like, he was just this always consistently, right? It's rare that you run into that. It can happen. And there's usually something else going on with that person. But you find that people are really multifaceted, and there's so much to humans here and also on the other side. Yeah. Let's jump over here to Margot.
So the other thing I was wondering about this week was your teaching of getting into the power, and it's so nice and it's so slow. But I've wondered whether you feel that helps you connect a little deeper with spirit, to blend a little better with spirit by being, I don't know, by approaching it so carefully and slowly, or what is your thinking behind that?
Sorry, can you just repeat the very first part of it?
It's about, well, many mediums can, and you see them, they connect to their power and they connect to spirit like super, super quick. But we're being taught to go about it very deliberately and slowly and to really feel into it. And so I was wondering, in teaching it that way, if the thought behind it is that the connection and the blend with spirit is deeper.
Yes. So the reason that we go slowly is because what unfortunately happens when you're taught to just go quickly into it before you've actually developed the sort of pathway, if you will, to connection, is that you start reading from your brain. So your brain comes in to fill in the things that maybe you're not yet perceiving. So we break it down and move it slowly on purpose so that you really have something that you're interacting with and you get consistent connection, rather than sometimes I'm letting go, my brain's not being involved, and sometimes I'm not. So we try to take it slowly so that people can learn how to link in consistently, properly from the get-go, because it's too often that you'll find that people just go, okay, just talk about whatever's coming to your mind. While that can work, that doesn't create a process. And the process is what helps create consistency. If I know that in my process, I know that I can feel my energy open, I can feel I'm shifting my gears into a different state of awareness, and then I can move into that, that process creates consistency. That makes it easier so that I know I'm in the right space. And I don't like when we don't want to rush it, because we want people to really feel all the states of that process. Over time, though, you can just jump right in. Over time, you know how to get to that space very easily, get to that space consistently, and you have this flexibility that has been created that it's like, okay, I'm going right there, boom, and now I'm in that space, and here's your information, right? You can do it quicker over time, but I think that what I don't like is I see more negative come out of people rushing that process and then never getting a proper blend, never really understanding what is blending, how are you blending, and they feel a little bit more like they're swinging their arms hoping that something's there as soon as they start saying, okay, now I'm connecting. And sometimes that flow will be there, but other times it's not. And then they come to us going, why is this inconsistent? Why am I sometimes able to get all this information and then other times not?
Yes,
Does that make
I agree.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Sandy?
Sorry, I'm just getting out of a migraine.
Okay,
But
okay.
I just wanted to ask you, like, even like today, I think Lily was talking about this. There's times that I'm sitting in the power and you're just like, is anything happening? And even though there is, like it's just different, right? Like the other day, I just felt like more like all this heaviness here. And I was
Okay.
like, oh, that's different than the other time. So I'm like jotting it down because it's always like this face thing. And but like even like today, I was like, shit, is anything happening? But I don't know like how to pay attention. Like, we know you're like soft-focus, hard focus. So I'm trying to do that. I am trying to like do more like, hard and soft focusing. But are there days that you're just like, I don't even know? Like, did anything ever happen?
100%. And usually those days are going to be the days when I feel a sense of disconnection from whatever's going on, or if I haven't been sitting a lot, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to feel maybe a little something, but my attention is everywhere. My mind is busy. I'm like running around. It's like having a hard time settling into just being in that receptive, energetically sensitive state, which is totally normal. That can happen and that will happen. And I'm sure you're going to have sittings like that. And you just work your way through them. You just commit to gently returning your attention back to that breath and try your best to not overly observe or pay too much attention to what is occurring. Focus on soft focus. Remember, we never hard focus ever.
Right.
There's no point. So we just focus on soft focus, and then we soft focus, and then we soft focus. And very naturally, our attention is going to start to hard focus because that's what we're used to. And then we're going to soft focus again, soft focus again, soft focus again. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
I think it was like working, right? But I don't know that I was, sometimes I would just kept going to myself like, okay, do less. I kept saying do less. Like, so, and I would go back and try to like, just breathe and like focus on my breath. So I just think that there might be times, and I really didn't have like anything else like that I was thinking of. So I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to try again in a little while. So I'll try again later.
Totally. And then the other thing I would throw in there too is notice, do I notice any tingling, buzzing, warmth, heaviness, or thickness in the atmosphere? If the answer is no, soft focus. Does anything change? No, soft focus. Oh, something changed. Great, soft focus. Oh, did anything change?
Yeah.
No, soft focus, right? So that's literally all you're doing the whole time. Just make sure that you're actually letting go, that you're actually soft focusing.
Yeah, I think I was doing pretty good with that today. I was just kept saying like, oh, did the atmosphere just change? So it was kind of cool, but I'm just going to try again, so.
Yeah, of course.
Fine, twice in a day, 3 times, whatever. But I just was like, I'm doing this again because I was like, kind of questioning myself. So
yeah, of course, it's totally fine to do it as many times as necessary. And yeah, my cat, he wants lunch. This is the only reason why he's sitting here being like, feed me.
Well, that's the first time we've seen I've seen his face, so he's cute.
Because he likes to look at me, not at the camera. And I'm like, you're supposed to be a camera ready baby.
Oh, so cute.
Yes, you're camera ready.
He's so cute.
Yeah, he's really freaking cute.
Okay, yeah. So I'm gonna just try again. Just
Yeah.
I just didn't. I took some migraine stuff, so then I passed out. So I'm like, okay, I'm up now.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good time to go.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Miranda, I see you in the chat. Hello. For those of you who don't know, Miranda is going to be doing a free talk. If you're not already signed up, I highly recommend that you do get signed up for the free talk that we're doing on where psyche and spirit meet. So we talk about psychology and spirituality and where they come together. And it's really going to be an interesting conversation. We're going to take some questions from all of you who are going to be there. It's exciting. It's going to be a really good a really good chat. But I'm really excited to hear kind of what Miranda has found works and why maybe talk therapy doesn't normally work for a lot of people, and how we can actually get into deeper experiences of that. And just as a side note, Miranda's amazing, like really, truly, well and truly. And I've known her since she was 18 years old. And she's not 18 anymore, but I've known her since she was 18 years old. And she has been by my side as my little spiritual adventurer for many, many years now. And so we've seen spirit lights and ectoplasm and spirit communication and tables floating up the wall and like all kinds of, so I should say sliding rather than floating, sliding up the wall. We've seen a lot of experiences together, and so it's so exciting to not only have her mediumship have along the journey, but also to see both the two masters that she got, one in philosophy and specifically relating to oh gosh, you're going to tell me, Miranda, what it's called. Science of mind. It's not science of mind. What am I trying to say? Something like that. But she focused on, she wrote a thesis on near-death experiences and that sort of thing, which is really, really interesting. So studying philosophy of mind is what it is. And then her second one, therapy. She's going to be a licensed marriage and family therapist on top of that. And I've sent so many clients to her, and I cannot tell you the feedback that I've gotten. People are like, I've been in therapy for 50 years, and they'll say, this is the best therapist I've ever had in my whole entire life. And I'm just like, because she brings it all together. And one of the magical things that she really brings together is the understanding of the spirit world along with the self. And it's pretty freaking amazing. So anyway, that's my little rant on why I think Miranda's incredible. And we're so excited, Megan and I are so excited to have her working with us. So throwing that out there. Adam asks, how rare is ectoplasm? I've only seen it once in 20 years, for real. Well, there may have been one other time that I might have seen a little bit of something, but not like I saw it that night, where it was literally like coming out of my body and coming out of someone else's body. And Miranda has sat with me before where she saw ectoplasm coming out the side from behind me, something coming out, which was kind of cool. And so there's been, I don't know how rare it is to see. I think it's rare in that a lot of people don't sit for physical mediumship, and therefore maybe they don't see it, or oftentimes the physical mediumship is done in the dark, so then you can't see it. But if you're doing it in the light, you can see ectoplasm coming off. But again, that was the one time that I've ever seen it where I can be like, that's ectoplasm. And I'm aware and conscious enough to see it, which is cool. Looking up ectoplasm. Good luck. It's basically what it is. It's an energetic substance that can be made into different forms of physicals, which is vapor, like a steamy mist, which is what I saw. You can turn into cloth-like substance, and it can also be hard, like a rod or something like that. Why would you do it in the dark? Because ectoplasm is light sensitive. So certain kinds of light can actually cause it to be damaged and not form. So that's part of the reason, is that it has to be kind of prepared, so to speak, to be in lighted conditions. And when we asked the spirit world during this time period of these seances, we asked them, would they be able to do any other forms of physical phenomena? They told us yes, and that would be spirit lights, and that we would be able to do ectoplasm. And they said, and we asked how many sittings. They said 12, and we forgot that they had predicted that. And then on the 12th, then on one sitting, we were just like, what the hell's going on? And then all of a sudden, ectoplasm and spirit lights and whatever. And we went back and we counted how many sittings it was. It was exactly 12. So that was pretty amazing for us. And it was all done in the light. So everybody could see everything, and it was pretty amazing. We had the lights on. So the lights we actually only sat in the light when we were doing our spirit lights, or not spirit lights, our physical phenomena. So very, very cool. But yeah, there's lots of fraudulent. I've seen tons of fraudulent ectoplasm in my life. Tons. I've had the great pleasure of seeing tons of fraudulent physical mediums in my life. I could write a book on the fraudulence of physical mediums that are out there today claiming to be doing something related to spirit. And they're not. It's just fake. And a lot of cheesecloth, a lot of random plastic bits, a lot of spider web from like Halloween store. A lot of really stupid things. But yeah. Not full-blown light. No, it was dimmer light. It was like the light of an exit sign, but it was a pretty bright light. I mean, you could see everything. You could see all the way across the room, no problem. And it was a pretty big room with how much light was in the room. Also, did we all sign up for Foundations 2-3? I sure hope so, because that's where things get really awesome and very cool. And yeah, lots of growth. I mean, really, we should just teach Foundations as 1-3 all in one go. But the reason that we don't is because people didn't know who we are, and they have to be able to see, hey, these people are really good. They actually know what they're freaking talking about. They're lovely. They're supportive. Once they see that, generally people are like, yeah, let's keep going with it. So we do break that up on purpose to give people who want to maybe just have a little sampler before any commitment. And so that's why we kind of do that way. Hello, when will the next Foundations 2 be offered? I'm unable to attend the next one starting at 9/5. That will probably land somewhere in March, is my guess, if I'm thinking of the weeks. Probably March, maybe February, but I'd have to go and look. But I think it's either starting in March, probably, is my guess. Lily.
This is just because the conversation went to Foundations 2 and 3. But I'm wondering, like, as we go through the course and just like as we continue on our development path, how do you like sit when you travel? Because I do have some travel coming up, and I always I'm wondering, do you still dedicate like 30 minutes a day to doing that? And how feasible do you feel that is, especially when you're on the move?
Yeah. So I'm assuming you're not constantly in the motion of traveling. However, you can do it on the plane. You can do it on the train. You can do it in the car, assuming you're not driving. You can do it when you're at your hotel. You can find moments to sit down and have stillness, which honestly, oftentimes when traveling is actually a relief. So I find that that's a pretty easy thing to do, because thankfully the only thing you need to sit in the power is your breath, and thankfully your breath travels very well. So you can just take that with you and just utilize it during the trip. Well, is there any specific that you're doing? Like, are you going on like what would you do that you couldn't have like a 30-minute moment?
Well, I do say this because I was on a trip like earlier in the spring before any of the classes start, and I meditate regularly, and it just felt kind of difficult. Like I would actually nod off, like if I was on a bus or something, just because I'm so tired. But also, granted, it was like with a tour group, so it was kind of like nonstop pace, and
that's hard. That would be difficult if you're with a bunch of people all the time. But what you can do is always make priority. I mean, I know when we travel, I always make it a point when I'm traveling, because first of all, I'm just like a weird dude, and I like to go to real spiritual places. And so like what I would do is I would find a church, a cathedral, whatever, wherever I am. Usually I'm in Europe. And I would just go into that sacred space and just make that my time. When I was on a cruise ship, staying in my room with my best friend at the time, or still my best friend, but they had a literal like prayer space on the boat. And so that was when I had a really interesting experience of someone who passed on the boat come to me during that time period. But I was just, and they had just died like in that moment. Like it was the moment they died, they came to me, which was really cool. But yeah, I was able to find a spot there. So I actually enjoy finding new places to sit in, especially if they have a vibe, an energy, a power, like a church or like an old cathedral or like something like that. That's super fun for me, because I'm just like, ooh, just absorb like this energy that's been here, for all this time, and people have kind of. So for me, it's really fun.
That sounds interesting. I'm going to Italy, so it's going to be full of churches.
Girl, you have an abundance of options. And those treasures have been filled probably for a long time. So there's a lot of energy. Anytime you're going to like places like that where people have been a lot, really cool. Going into places that have nature, like very natural places, like when we were in South Africa, that was when I would say is like kind of when we were kind of away from everything. And I did visit a spiritualist church while I was in Cape Town, which was cool. So there's so many different places that you can do. Obviously, where you're safe and you know that ain't nobody gonna get you. Obviously, think about that. But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome. I think I have time for one more question before we wrap it up. Thank you. I want to say just before we wrap anything up, I wanted to say thank you guys for using this tool. I mean, there was quite a long time where people just didn't show up for this, and I'm just like, y'all, it's free time to ask anything you want about anything you want. You didn't have to pay for it. Like, use the time, So I'm really happy that you guys are here. Let's go, Andrea.
Okay, so last question. Can you give me a trance tip? Like when we're sitting for trance, or if we're sitting for trance, which I've been doing and I've been liking, I have been doing a lot of trance healing just for fun.
Cool.
Because headaches and stuff. And it does work. Like you said one time that you just sit there for like 20 minutes and poof, definitely works. Can you give me a tip, like how to deepen the trance? Because I do feel like it's affecting my mediumship, because I'm like starting to feel like, yeah, I want to become them. And I don't necessarily do the readings like, oh, he is this, he is that. I definitely feel like, oh, I feel this, or I feel sick, or I feel like there's da-da-da. Like I do that first person. So do you have a tip?
Yeah, the tip is become indifferent about what's coming through. That is the best thing that you can do, is become indifferent about what they're talking about, what's going to happen next. The less you care, the less you're attached to being involved in it in any way, shape, or form, the stronger they will have more space. You have to think of it as like a dimmer switch of a light. The more I turn myself down, the brighter the light is getting from them, or vice versa. The more that I come to the forward, the lower that they're becoming. And this is very true for the trance states. So I want you to really focus on, I literally don't care. I don't have any interest. And when things start to happen, I become even less interested. So the less interested you are in the experience that you're having, the more that they will get control. And the interesting thing is, as you let more of control, they actually get more control of you as time goes on. And then that's going to increase the trance states, and they're going to be held longer and easier. Your awareness is going to go away more and more and more. So it actually strengthens it a ton. So it's going to only grow. So that is my biggest tip. And when I sit for trance, that is what I focus on. I don't actually focus on, let me expand my energy and let me do all these things. That naturally starts to happen. At some point, you start to get to a point where you sit for the spirit and they descend upon you, right? And you feel the weighted blanket that comes over you when you sit in the trance states. You feel that heaviness. And every time I notice something new, I go, oh, cool, I can do even less. I can become even less interested. And eventually you just sort of float into the nothingness. And then other cool things start to happen. So when you start to move out of the medium levels of entrancement and into the deeper levels of entrancement, which is rare, new things start occurring. And I won't say too much because I don't want to put expectations in your mind, and that's probably a good thing. But cool things start happening, and you will start to realize the spirit is actually getting even stronger control over you. And you're in Brazil, bro. Like, you're like in spiritist land now. Spiritism is the cousin of spiritualism, and they have a little bit of a different vibe. They're definitely into more of like the entities and mad spirits and like that sort of stuff, and that's not really my jam. But Brazil like spiritism is down with that sort of thing. So take that part with a grain of salt, but they do have good mediums there, right? Like they do develop mediums, and mediumship is actually very popular there. So you got all kinds of opportunities to see cool things in Brazil. But does that help? Does
It
that feel
does.
like
I took notes.
new information? Okay.
Yeah, I'll keep sitting.
People
for
laugh.
trance.
People laugh because I said you're in Brazil, bro.
Yeah, it gets wild though.
It does
so,
get wild, and that's why it's
It
not
does
really
get
for
wild.
me.
Everybody talks about it too. Like
Yeah.
even in the street,
Yeah.
like everyone's pretty aware of what's going on. So it is fun, but it is wild.
Yeah, 100%. That's not really my jam, but different strokes, different folks, different cultures. You know what I mean? Do you usually do these bi-weekly or weekly or monthly? I do them every week. So every week I do these chats. And if you want to be live in the group, you can visit oakbridgeinstitute.org under the events tab. You can sign up to be here in person. I think that's it. Oh, what's it? What? Someone's pointing something. What do I need to do? Is there a new message or something? We were pointing at something, Sandy. I don't know what you're pointing at.
Lisa wrote a question.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Curious too.
What is the question? Michael, do you just quiet your mind on your own for that? Listen to something? Are you talking about when I'm blending for trance? You can just unmute yourself. That's fine.
That's a good point. That's much faster that way. No. I wrote that question back when we were talking about sitting in the power when you're traveling and stuff.
I listen to something.
Do you
usually.
use?
Yeah.
Do you use something? Yeah.
I use my sitting.
Just like if
I use
you're
my
in a
own
space
sitting in the
and you're like,
power. Yeah. So I either use my
Okay.
own sitting in the power meditation, or I will use music that I've just sat in the power to for a very long time. I have a playlist that I've listened to for donkey's years now, and so just hearing that first song is the thing that gets me starting to go into it anyway, because I've just played it so much in my life. So yeah.
Okay.
I do usually use something just because, especially if I'm on an airplane or something and I'm trying to, sit in the power. I hate flying. Like, I hate it. I shouldn't say I hate it. It's uncomfortable. It's not a comfortable experience for me. It can create a lot of anxiety. Mm-hmm. So I actually do a lot of sitting on the plane to try to just like get my awareness somewhere else. But now I've learned prescription drugs, and that really is helpful for flying if you have issues with flying. So if anyone has issues flying,
yes.
That is a useful power of Western medicine.
Yes.
I wish I would have known when I was traveling to 22 countries the rest of the time.
Yeah. I don't have it, but my sister severely does. And we were just talking about it yesterday. And she's like, yeah, without her prescription, she can't do it. But
yeah,
I've always thought like it's good. Like I can talk myself into, quieting down and sitting on my own. But I'm like, what you need something to bring you out after the end of the 20 minutes, right? Like, or to say, hey.
No, it'll just lift. And here's the thing is like, if I just sit in the stillness, like if I were to just go sit right now, I didn't turn anything on, the power would descend upon me. I would feel the shift in the atmosphere. I'd feel my awareness expand. I'd feel my awareness start to quiet. And then what would happen is the spirit would kind of do their thing. And then it would start to shift at a certain moment. And it'll lift off of you. So just as it descends upon you, it lifts off of you. And one of the really cool side effects of this is the spirit world will often lift themselves off of you right before there's some sort of distraction or there's some sort of something that's about to happen. So like there's times where I'm sitting in the power and then all of a sudden it lifts off of me and I go, what the heck? Why'd that come up? And a second later, someone bursts through the door or the phone rings or something happens. And I love that because it just shows me the intelligence of the spirit.
Yeah. Well, I actually did a sitting last night, a little bit before bed, and I went in and I swear I was so deep in, like, I don't know where I was. And I literally lifted about 30 seconds before your voice came on and said, okay, come back and like move your fingers. And I thought I was like, was kind of like the timing was, So it's funny that you just mentioned that too.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for being here. I will be going live again tonight to do readings for the folks. I think Miranda might join me. I don't know. I'll have to ask her if she's going to join. I don't know if she's still in this thing over here. But I'm going to be doing readings. We're going to be doing the thing that we do on Mondays. because Monday Fun Day is thing. How did you do that, Miranda? Miranda, I just said, I don't know if Miranda's still in the room, and then she said left in a text message. So if you aren't here, how the heck did you know to send me a text message that says left? I'm confused. Anyway, so we are going to, I'll be doing, she must be psychic. See, guys, I trained her well. We're going to be doing readings later and all that good stuff. So hopefully we'll see you there. All right. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, it's making a song.